Hello and welcome to another Hill and Ponton VA Q&A Live. I'm here with Carol Ponton. It's been a while. Carol, how are you?
I'm great, and you?
I couldn't be better. It's summer's heat's here, but football season's around the corner. So excited.
Exciting.
Yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Adelia, 1 of 3. Military EKG 522 shows sign of bradycardia. Civilian heart echo 823 shows trivial tricuspid aortic mitral and pulmonic regurgitation. EF of 55, otherwise normal size structure. That was a mouthful for my first question, I'm just going to say. Shortness of breath, symptoms, palpitations, chest pain, lightheadedness, next echo 903, annual follow-ups. Should I claim these heart findings at all?
Yes.
Claim them separately or as one condition, or file secondary service-connected sleep apnea? Carol?
Both. I think you claimed them showing they were there right away, and you can put and or. That's what. Never give up on any possible service connection you can get, but definitely you should claim those.
Yeah, left. Yeah, both and is how I'd say that too. Jay Monk, good to see you. What do I need to do to prepare my CMP exam, mental health issues, possible PTSD related? She could write a whole book on this.
Yeah. One of the things, here's the one thing that I always worry about with PTSD. Remember, for PTSD, you have to prove that you had a stressor. The government doesn't have to prove it. You have to prove it. So make sure if it's not obvious, then you may want to talk about acquired psychiatric disorder. Remember, that's where you show that you didn't have a problem before service, but after service you did. And that's from a witness statement. And that could be a parent, a brother, sister, cousin, friend, anybody. But remember that trap that the VA uses for PTSD. It's not only do you prove the stressors, you also need to download the DBQ for PTSD. That's the Disability Benefits Questionnaire. So if you go into the VA and they're still up, right? They haven't taken this down, I don't think.
Ooh, as far as I know, they should still be.
They should be still up, but and look at the questionnaire, because remember, I think it's starting on page 4. They have a list of questions, and if you don't have an appropriate response to each one, no matter who else says you have PTSD, the VA says you don't. So remember, there are 2 traps that you have right there. So the first thing is you figure out whether or not you can prove the stressors. If not, acquired psychiatric disorder, which can include PTSD, major depressive disorder, anxiety, panic attacks, bipolar, anything. The second thing is you look and make sure, if you're working on PTSD, that you're going to have the appropriate response to all of those questions, because if you don't answer every single one showing you've had something that's positive for PTSD, then you don't have PTSD. And then the third thing I would say, at the bottom, when you go down, there's a list of symptoms, and make sure you look at those and note each one of those with the examiner that you have. The more symptoms you have down the bottom, then the higher your rating will be. So don't leave some out because you think they're not as important as the others. Make sure you list every single one of them.
A couple notes on that. Nate, I think, just posted the CMP, the DBQ page on the VA site. Now, just as Carol was asking that, I realized they do not publish the initial exam for PTSD, meaning they don't publish an exam for service connection. The only exam in there is called a review PTSD exam, and that exam is for your rating and if that's appropriate. So back to what Carol said on in service, you got to show for PTSD, you got to show a stressor that's something other than just your word. Okay, you got to show something happened. It could be in your service records, service medical records. It could be a buddy statement. It could be, there's any number of things. It just needs to be evidence in addition to what you're saying. Other things I would do, this might be more toward rating, but I like to have somebody in there with me, somebody who knows you really well, be it a spouse, be it a parent. And, I typically tell those people, well, let me back up. I find that people with PTSD have a hard time understanding how they're relating to the world, how harsh they can come across, and how abrupt they can come across. And so they end up perpetually underrating themselves because they'll say they're fine, whereas a spouse or another loved one who sees them every day does not. So literally, I tell my spouses, I get them on the phone and say, I want you to go in there And this is a time to tell them about what an asshole your husband is, all the things they do wrong, or all the things that are just so abrupt, because the vet might not appreciate it. Frankly, that's part of the PTSD is you lose self-awareness of how much you can put others on edge, and that goes to the rating. So that's one of my favorite things to do, because then if you have that person and you testifying to that, and you get one of these DBQs where you see the doctor just did not note anything you say, the fact that you had two people say it makes it for a stronger appeal. We're always looking to see how we can undo bad turnouts on appeal. But that's what I'd say. I mean, there's a lot to look at. Also look at the Nate, if you throw up the diagnostic codes themselves. Just before,
remember, a lot of these examiners are going to say that you can't bring anybody into the room. That's not true. The law is you have a right to privacy, and if you're going to waive that so you can have a loved one come in, you have the right to do that. So I find the best way to do that is sit down in your chair, and if they say they can't go in, say, I'm not going in if they don't, and don't get out of your chair. And believe me, they'll let you in because they don't get paid unless they do the exam. So don't let them push you around on that.
Yeah. Good luck on that. Let us know how it goes. I mean, again, this is one where you want to be prepared. You want to know what questions are important ahead of time, because, so these guys can spend 10 minutes with you, write a very poor report, and then you're faced trying to fight
make up their own answers.
Yeah. We got another question coming up. Monroe, hello. I had 2 CMP exams, one for asthma, one for multiple sclerosis, with the same doctor. The first one were FAVE, and then the VA sent them back for clarity, and they were completely different. I submitted them as new and relevant evidence. Should they accept the favorable ones as new and relevant evidence? That's interesting, but I think not, because they were already in the record at the time you received the decision. I would want to know, you can FOIA this and you can request this. I'd want to know what the rater said when they sent them back. What was inadequate about those 2 favorable exams? Because I'm always suspicious of their taking their duty to assist and turning it to a duty to sabotage.
Yes.
Or duty to deny. So I would want to know what they said there. To reopen it, I mean, the bar is low. I would just write.
I would file a CAR HLR
okay.
and argue that there was evidence favorable to your case, and the VA didn't consider that, and show why it shouldn't have been considered versus the other. Because frankly, when I get favorable, I see a CMP exam that's favorable and they want clarification. It's just like Matt says, they want evidence to deny it. And they will ask questions that are so pointed that it's clear to the examiner what they want from them. So that's what I do. I'd say that, look at this favorable exam. Why is it not taken over the other exam that denied me? I do that first before I go into new evidence. Because that's not new evidence. That was there before.
Right. So CAR is a higher level review that's within 30 days and is
of the decision.
Is pretty clear error. Even if you aren't within 30 days right now, I'm with Carol. I'd still go higher level review and say, look, I didn't want you to reweigh this evidence. There was favorable evidence in here. Why was that not given the probative value of this other evidence?
And if you see on the second exam that there were errors in the answers they put down, I would also do a statement on a 4138 pointing out everything that was not accurate in what this examiner said. Matt.
There's one of 5. It's good to see you, but whoo, you're pushing us today. Timeline. August 98, completed VA form 21-526, lower back, left knee, and beta thalassemia minor during military separation under BBD. 4401, military sent my service treatment records and the 21-526 to the VA 2.5 years after my separation. That's interesting. 5/31/01, I filed another claim through my VSO for back conditions, but forgot to include BTM. 2022, I filed service connection for beta thalassemia minor, which has caused several other health issues. VA never acted on my original claim from 98, which they received in 01 before I filed my second claim. In 01, I received 10% for low back, no mention of BTM. Does VA failure to act on the 98 claim constitute clear and unmistakable error? should the effective date for BTM and my 10% lower back granted in 01 be 98 or 01 or BTM 2022? I appreciate all you do for veterans. Pray for your continued success.
Thank you. Can you go back? Because I'm not sure. Nate, would you go back to the first one? Okay, 98, lower back, left knee, BTM. Okay, next one. Military. Is there something 25401? Okay, so I got a first question. Were your service treatment records in the first decision that you got? If not, remember everything gets reopened. And then you send in the same form again 2.5 years later, 2001. But you see, I'm not sure. Okay, go to.
So he did the BDD. He did it at discharge, and when he did it at discharge, that was done by the DoD.
Right.
So the DoD is supposed to transfer that right away.
Right.
So his claim starts in 98.
Right.
The fact that VA didn't get it for what, 3 years.
Okay, so that's what he's saying. The whole claim they didn't get. Okay, and the service treatment records.
Yeah, go to the second to last one. Crap. All right, go to the last one. Okay, go to the very first one.
I'm lost on the. Remember, I don't know if it's Q, if it's an open claim. I'm not sure on all of these which they did make a decision on and which they didn't.
Yeah.
So if you filed a claim and they didn't make a decision, that's an open claim, okay? But if you file the exact same claim later and they made a decision and you're out of the appeal date, then that claim is no longer open, okay? And that's why I'm not sure of what you've done.
For the BT, so they never made a decision on BTM. That was an open claim.
Yeah.
An open claim can be implicitly denial by a later claim if the later claim, this is just crazy case law basically, but if the later claim should have informed the veteran that it included the prior claim. I don't think BTM, it's anemia related, and I don't think it is something that a back claim
or a left
would
knee would. Yeah.
So I think that claim goes all the way back to when you filed it in 98. And to what Carol said, we're not talking Q here. We're talking an open claim,
which is much better.
Much better because you can submit new evidence. The evidentiary standard is as likely as not versus clear and unmistakable error. You get all the benefits of the laws today versus what was just enacted back then. So I think you're looking at going all the way back on that. I don't, did he go to the very last one again?
I've got, what happened to the left knee condition? I can't see that you ever got a decision on that. And if not, that's open. The lower back was granted in one. If it was granted in 2001, I can't see that that's open unless even the service medical records.
That would be a Q claim.
Yeah.
So if it was open in a one, but I think that's a pretty straightforward Q claim. If you got a C&P exam during the BBD, that means they have the medical evidence needed to grant. You're talking about purely a legal issue.
Right.
So yeah, I think you can do a Q claim for that and get it from 01 to 98 for the back. And I'm with Carol. I'm sorry, I don't remember where the knee claim was, but the knee claim, if that was granted in 01, that should go back. If it wasn't granted, then it is closed at that time. But if I'm you, I'm taking the BTM all the way back to 98.
Right.
And even if you get, sorry, one last thing. Even if you just get a 0% going back to 98, that's a 20-year rating, meaning 20-year service connection, so they can't take that away from you. You only need 10, don't you?
No, for the rating, it's 20.
For the rating, but it's for the service.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would want that just so they can't strip you of service connection now, because you have that continuity of rating there. And then if you do get a rating, whatever rating you get back to then is also permanent. It's frozen. All right.
And remember, the VA does not like to do that. Often we've not only had to go to the BVA, but the Court of Appeals. For whatever reason, they just don't like to give you those benefits.
Yeah. Tiny, good to see you. I want to understand how the VA denies claims when there's evidence in military records and continued care post-military service. Is mentioned depression in my military a marker enough to prove PTSD due to MST? Yeah. I mean, you treated for that. Clearly something was going on in service.
Well, it's not to prove depression, but it's to prove an acquired psychiatric disorder.
Like it can be
To prove
used
PTSD.
as, right. It can be used. It's a marker. You don't have to have a diagnosis of what you're claiming. Like you don't have to have a diagnosis in service of what you're claiming now, but you do have to have a marker, and that clearly is a marker. So yes. And why did they deny you?
We wish we knew.
I still think MSTs are denied way too often. And so that's just a claim they don't like, and they keep denying to see if you'll go away. So you definitely want to fight this.
Now remember, don't get hung up on the name. Military sexual trauma. I know it's traumatic to you, but we want you to get your benefits. PTSD. Don't get hung up on the name. Get hung up on getting your benefits. If they want to call it depression, if they want acquired psychiatric disorder, fine. But when you say acquired, you don't have to prove that it, as I talked before about PTSD, or prove there was military sexual trauma. Always go for the thing that's easiest for you to prove. Okay. Don't let them. I see people on and on and on trying to get a specific diagnosis when if they just gone with the one they were going to give them and started working on the rating, they would get what they need as far as benefits.
Yeah, what you're going for is service-connected compensation,
Yes.
not a service-connected disability.
Yeah.
You want the compensation to which you're entitled. And so it's like Carol says, don't let them play the red herring, because you kind of go.
Let them call it whatever they want. Just get your
Make them
benefits.
pay, yeah. The Veterans Aid 102. 2 weeks ago, Carol mentioned that a court case allowed SMCT to be granted for PTSD.
No.
Did I hear that right? No. If so, should I only list PTSD?
No, that's traumatic brain injury, TBI.
Now,
a lot of times they will combine the two. You'll have PTSD and TBI, but it's the TBI that allows you for SMC, which is SMCT, which is for traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, that, like, if they can't differentiate the symptoms of PTSD and TBI, they kind of co-locate they basically put PTSD almost as a symptom of the TBI. What's the second part of this? Should I list all conditions combined 100%? PTSD, lumbar, 30, IBS, migraines. Better to request ANA. Yeah.
No, you want ANA for just PTSD. And then you want to use the other so it gets you up. Remember, that's the Berry case that's so great. Once you get aid and attendance for one problem, like PTSD, remember you can use the other ratings, like your lumbar, your arm, all of those migraines, to move up the scale to get more money. So, and remember, it's not only ones that are 50%, you can combine some of these others together and move up the rating scale.
So you should at least be at an M if you can get the L, because you should get 2 bumps, but one
Right.
with the migraines and one at least with the lumbar and radiculopathy.
Yep, an arm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arms 30%. I'm also wondering if there's a loss of use of hands there, or hand. Yeah,
Absolutely.
30% is pretty high for an arm.
For an arm, yeah.
Yolanda Fergus Adams, good to see you. 100% P and T. PTSD 100, sleep apnea 50, second to PTSD via weight, plus planus 50, TMJ 30, second to PTSD, migraines 30, rhinitis 30, diabetes 20, hypertension 10, tinnitus 10, ILD 10, GERD 10, right hip 10, right knee 10, got a lot. Left hip 10, with back, left knee, cervical spine, radiculopathy, IBS, diverticulitis, pancreatitis, bilateral plantar fasciitis, bilateral sciatica, shin splints, still on review or appeal. VA decision when increased. PTSD to 100% listed every single condition I was service connected for SMCS justification. Yeah, that's if you're SMCS. Does that mean I cannot use any of them for ANA? Yeah, no.
No.
Also, when increased, give effective date of 4/15/25 instead of, that's wrong. Instead of the date, that's them saving, they're taking tens of thousands of dollars from you, so you are appealing that. Continue, did higher level supplemental, planning to fight this, but VA paid me back to date of claim. How do I handle? Do I send it back? Set it aside.
You mean they paid you incorrectly? They paid you as if it was the date of claim?
That money is yours.
Yeah.
They don't get to appeal the grant they gave. Okay. So that money's yours. You're going for the, from what we understood, the 12/22 was when you filed these claims to get you to 100% for PTSD. So that's where you need to go back to. That's your real data claim. That's what, it's almost 3 years. That's a lot of money.
So if they paid you, they did it, that's their error, and there's no way you could have known. You don't have to pay that money back, but they're going to figure that out. I find even years later, they'll come back and figure that out. And why that's important to you is you want to go ahead and get the effective dates that you're entitled to it approved. Okay. You're not going to lose anything because you've got that money, but at least that gets you back to those dates when you start moving up the scale. Okay.
And as far as SMC, if you have reason that you would need aid and attendance for PTSD, that's one I would go for, because just looking at all your disabilities, you should at least be two half bumps, if not 3 half bumps up.
Yeah, you may get all the way to O, which gives you R1, because you've got a lot of disability benefits, and that's the whole point of the Berry case, is that you get paid for those.
Moving on up.
Yeah, good work.
Cassius, good to see you. At the Veterans Aid, I could be wrong. I Google it and says it has to be related to TBI. Oh, this is yeah. I had TBI, severe PTSD, and go either way. I had trauma involved. Yeah, for SMCT, you gotta have a rating of TBI. It does not have to be 100% rating of TBI.
No.
But you gotta have a rating for TBI. Rogan, I had a copy of a favorable one, so I submitted them as new evidence. The one for asthma was denied in 14, but that is what I did for MedBoard. Service connected for PTSD, second to my breathing problems.
Okay, so remember, you can be MedBoarded out for something, so you had it, but if they say you don't have it now, that's the only way they could have denied you. If they said you never had it, you need a present, remember, you need a present diagnosis. So I'm guessing that's the only way that they could have denied your claim. I mean, legally.
Yeah. Tiny. If you're on today, Carol, I just wanted to mention that you know 2 people now who live in Barndominium. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Wow. Okay, that is funny. For those who weren't there, Carrie built himself a dream house, which is basically a barn with a condo in it. So the bigger space is actually the barn, or the
barn,
and he's got that. I mean, it's
a
more
barn,
of a garage, but it's massive.
It's
and
a garage
all
and
his
a barn.
Tractors and everything else in there. It's a dream for him.
Every toy a guy could love is back there. So his house is like a barn-dominium because it's so small compared to the rest of it. So congratulations, Tiny Tim. You're in there with the up and coming group. Love to hear what you have in your barn.
Cassius, I have a question about supplemental claim. If you are at SMC level, do you receive retroactive pay from the effective date when you first filed the claim? Yes. Also, is there a ruling in Haskell v. McDonald concerning TBI?
I don't know. Do you?
Is that's the Alaska case? I don't know that either. I'm sorry.
We'll have to look that up.
Elma, if 100% TDIU can get additional compensation for your home health through incapacity. So
if 100% TDIU, is that the question? Can 100% TDIU? The VA, we don't, remember, we're in the VA benefits section. There's a VA health section, and their rules, we don't know what they are, and they seem to be different from every different VA, because some of my veterans will get home health care, where other veterans who have the same problem, their VA health care is denying them that. So yes, depending on the limitations of your ability to do activities of daily living, yes, it's possible to get home health care, but it depends on the VA health system you're through. Frankly, they all seem to be a little different. There's no uniformity that I found.
And I think you could also look for a caregiver there, though, too, right?
Well, that's a separate thing. So caregiver is when you have a person who actually is there caring for you, and they would get the money directly. But so there are 3 different things. You apply for aid and attendance. You also apply for caregiver if somebody's helping you. But then there's the VA home health care. And I find that they're sending people in to clean the house or to help them buy groceries or things like that, depending on their disability and depending on the region you're in. But I would definitely go in and apply for that to see what you can get.
All right. Linda, 6 years Vietnam era vet. I tried to obtain my active duty medical records along with my C file. After completing the necessary form, After waiting several months, I was told they do not have those records. How do I obtain them, and how do I obtain entrance exam? I'm currently 90% combo.
Do you have you asked for your military personnel record? Remember, the military personnel record is not necessarily in the C file. It should be, but most of the time it's not. So if you have a pending claim, you can write to the office in St. Louis and ask them for a copy of your military personnel service file. And in almost all of those, they have the entrance and exit exams. That's probably the only medical they'd have in there unless there was a board hearing. But they might have those for you. Otherwise, if they've lost the service medical records, they've lost it. But this is a second way to try and see if you can find out if they have anything for you.
Just going back to Cassie's question about the Haskell case. The Haskell case was the accompanying case of the Alaska case. The Alaska case is the one that defined SMCT only requiring the SMCR1 requirements of aid and attendance.
Okay, so that's the case we know of.
Yeah. So we go by the Alaska, but those cases.
How do you spell that?
L-A, it's like Alaska without the A.
L-A-S-K-A.
Yeah.
The Alaska case. Yeah, I didn't realize the other one.
Those cases were joined, and sorry, I didn't realize that, but that's what Haskell stands for, is that SMCT, to get that when you have a TBI, you only have to meet the requirements of SMCR1 aid and attendance. It's super, super complicated, but basically what that means is you don't need somebody in the house giving you medical treatment that otherwise would only be done by a doctor. So.
Yeah, they made it much easier to get SMCT. So if you have TBI, apply for aid and attendance, and then apply for the SMCT, or maybe both at the same time.
Lerner, good to see you. Going for a CMP tomorrow. Should I bring a copy of my Nexus letter with me and show a new nurse practitioner with 4 years experience? Yeah.
Yes.
Kindly hand it to her. Say, hey, this is to help you.
This may not be in the record, so I want to make sure you have it.
Exactly. Grace, how do you know what effective date for back pay if intent to file was 11/24, CMP was June 25, received letter dated 7/25, granting 50%, was 40% since 06, now combined 70. Am I entitled to percentage of my military pension, retired Navy? Yes, because you're over, because I was receiving both. Now what? Yes, because you are over. What is it, 50% now? They keep on changing that. But go back to the first part. The effective date of the 70% should be the intent to file, the 11/24.
And remember, they miss that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like a rule.
Yeah, I'm not gonna see that. But they pick up either the 526 form, the claim you formed, or the 0995 date, not the intent to file, and that's wrong. You're entitled to that date.
Marine, will hammer toes be included in plus planus and in plantar fasciitis, or is it separately rated?
I've seen it separately rated. I think it should be.
Yeah. Richard, part 1. Although there is a record of treatment and service for knee problems left, no permanent residual or chronic disability subject to service connection is shown by the service medical records. Part 2, demonstrated by evidence following service. Service connection for knee problem left remains denied since this condition neither occurred in nor was caused by service. Favorable findings identified in the decision. You have been diagnosed with a disability. Private medical record showed treatment for osteoarthritis left knee. The evidence shows a qualifying event had its onset during your service. Service treatment record dated 09/24 show that you had a complaint of left knee. Would this be higher level review, or should I get a Nexus letter? I want the higher level review. What do you and this is a car to me. I mean, literally,
I do car because it's quicker, but I think you're probably going to need a Nexus letter.
Why? Yeah, all 3 favorable findings.
Because they're probably saying what they usually say, that it ended and this is a new problem.
Okay. Yeah, I'd try car first and then go from there.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right. I'm getting my information. Now, none of this is happy. Okay. And a lot of this, because y'all work really hard to know what's going on, but I have found there's so many people out there who don't. And my own clients, I had a conversation today with one of them about there's no more than 100% because he had a lot of people tell him that. That is what the VA wants you to think. There is so much, 100% is like $3,800 a month for just the veteran. Some veterans get $11,000 or more. I have veterans, Matt has veterans who are getting that. So it's not just this pie in the sky type thing. We both have veterans who are getting a lot more than the 3,800, in between 3,800 and 11,000. In fact, most of my veterans, that's my goal for them, to get $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. So there is so much more than that. And please, if you could dissuade people from thinking that, every time you hear somebody say that, tell them this is wrong. There's special monthly compensation. Look it up. Some of the people are confused. Like my veteran said, well, I don't have any dependents, and that's why my friend thinks he gets $9,000 a month. He doesn't even understand what he's getting. So that's what I'm saying. There has been, I don't know why, but there's just like this effort out there to make sure veterans know they only get 100%. So number one, I know a lot of you because you are really good at SMCs, but everybody out there, you need to know there's so much. $3,800 is nothing compared to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. Okay.
I will say this show's kind of skewed towards SMC because we have such an informed audience. It is rare. I mean, not everybody's going to get 100%, and just like not everybody's going to 100%, it's not going to get SMC. But so I'll say with what Carol says, if you're at 100%, don't stop. Be curious as to if there is more. But I mean, if you're applying for stuff and you're only getting 30%,
if you have PTSD, you have a mental disorder and it's significant, and you have other problems, you already should be getting SMCS, which is the first. If you need help because of these service-connected problems, that's aid and attendance. That's another 1,000. You're up to almost 5,000 right away. So that's what we're saying. That most of you really end up needing more than 100%. It just depends on it's rare to have a person with one thing.
Okay.
All right. Here's a horrible thing that happened to my client. He was called by the VA and they asked him a lot of questions. What's your Social Security number? What's your VA claim number? What's your full name? What was your rank in the service? What service were you in? On and on. This was not the VA. The VA does not do that. If anybody calls and says they're from the VA and they start asking you your date of birth, things like that, hang up. If you call the VA, they will tell you, we would never do that. Now, this person, I am so afraid, is now going to have somebody getting credit cards, loans, everything on his name. I told him he needs to get an Equifax or some kind of credit company that he can see if people are inquiring to get a credit card. But be aware, the VA never does that, okay? So if somebody calls you, hang up. It's better to hang up and get it right than keep going and end up in a terrible position like this, okay?
Better to hang up and get it wrong.
Hang up. Okay. All right. The second is, and I've gone over this before, is C&P exams. This continues to be a terrible problem. Remember, when the VA did them, they were all done at the VA. And then they started contracting out to private contractors. And now we have maybe 8 different companies. So this is a business. And when they say, I'm sending you these heart, MS, PTSD claims to be evaluated, they want to get the money from all 3 claims. So if they don't have a doctor under contract that's near you, they want you to drive wherever they have one. You have a right to have the exam near you. If you don't have a way to get there, they have to give you a Zoom in-home or something very close to where you can get there. They are not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that you're going to be denied for failure to cooperate. You need to tell them right up front, this is where I live. If you can't find somebody close to me, and I mean close to me, I'm going to hang up and call the VA and get them to refer my case to another company. And if the people say, I'll get back to you, and they don't within a day or two, call the VA right away. 800-827-1000. Ask to speak to the compensation and pension section and tell them, I am disabled. I have all these problems. These people want me to go 100 miles, 50 miles. I don't have a way to get there. I can't do that. I have asked them for closer, and now they're not responding to me. I want the record clear that I am ready, willing, and able to go, but I can't go this far. Please assign me to another company, okay? What's really important about that is if they get a letter from these compensation and pension exam people, which they're doing, say, failed to show up at exam, you've already proved that they're lying, okay? Don't put up with it. Don't argue with them. Don't spend any time with them. If they can't right away give you what you need, go to the VA. Okay. This is a real problem because they are all reporting that you're failing to cooperate, you're failing to show up, and they deny you based on that. So even if you get denied, you now have this and you file a duty to assist appeal saying, this is what happened. Please send me to another contractor who can have an exam near me. I bet we spend every day, I spend 3 or 4 letters sending out saying, this is what happened, because the client didn't know what was going to happen to him and he's been denied. So before you get denied, do that. Okay. And so, like I said, it's not good news, but it's stuff you really need to do.
Damn good Carol's Corner right there. Whew, that was some good info in it. She didn't even yell. She was serious, but there was no finger pointing or yelling or anything, but those were good. All right. Back to the main event. Richard. We already did Richard Monroe. I don't understand. I don't understand how they could say that my PTSD is secondary to my breathing problem, but it doesn't have a rating. That's bizarre. If they're not rating them separately, then somehow they're saying your PTSD is non-compensable, which...
Oh, I see how they can say they don't have a rating. I've had how many BVA approved saying you are service connected for PTSD, not even secondary to breathing, and they give them a 0%. That's the VA. They're trying to lowball you. So you need to appeal that right away, and you need to mention all of the records that are already in the file that show PTSD and how it affects you. Okay. You can always, I would do that first to see if you can get that, especially a CAR 30-day appeal. If that doesn't work, you want to put in a statement from yourself, from a witness who knows you about your PTSD, any medical records you have that show this is why I should be rating 50%, 70%, or whatever. But no, I see that all the time. That's their latest little
gimmick. Win the battle, they win the war.
Yeah.
By keeping your money. Remy 86, good to see you. Hello, I have SMCS for multiple service connected.
Multiple sclerosis.
No, multiple
SC service connections. Okay.
Sorry. I have to deal with here, guys. It's constant. Major depressive disorder 70, migraines 50, peripheral neuropathy 20, right leg, bilateral shin splints, MTSS 10% both legs, but I have 2 extra service connected conditions that aren't included, GERD and OSA. If I was to get to SMCL, would I get an extra step?
Can you go back to count? Remember, you need, what are you going to get? Right. It for? If you get it for the major depressive disorder, then you can use all of these others. So you have migraines and you have sleep apnea. If they're not related to the major depressive disorders, then you get a full step. Plus, you have peripheral neuropathy, 2 legs, that's 20, shin splints. So that's another step up.
It's only 1 leg.
Oh, right leg, bilateral splints, 10 both.
Yeah.
And 2 extra if you can add those to them.
One of them, go to the next page, one of them sleep apnea, which is the 50.
GERD, 10.
So you're close to a third one.
Yeah.
But as Carol said,
M or M.5.
As Carol said, though, this is all predicated on you showing that the PTSD or the major depressive disorder causes your need for aid and attendance.
And not the other.
Yeah, it has to be just on that.
Yeah.
James, thank you all. Finally 100% PNT, but I have 50, 440s, 230s, 220s, 510s, all PD to brain tumor.
SMC, well, no.
I'm going to poke the bear asking for L.5 thoughts.
No, okay. What is the 100% for?
I think it's the combo.
The combo? See, remember, well, he says asking for L.5. So do you already have aid and attendance?
You got to get aid and attendance first. So that's what we need to work on. So what's the underlying disability? If we could use that 50, that would be the best to get you 100%.
I'd like to know what they're for, too.
It says it's secondary to brain tumor. So brain tumor must be rated at 0. Brain tumor would be 0 or 100% of in itself. Then you would rate the residuals. So I'm imagining most of those ratings are residuals from the brain tumor.
So yes, you should file for aid and attendance because you clearly need help, and limit it to as few service-connected conditions as possible. And then when you look at that, you don't say give me L.5. You say give me aid and attendance. And then if they give you aid and attendance and they don't give you these other steps, then you ask for a higher SMC rating and see what they give you, because it should be a lot more than L.5 if you only have to use one of those ratings.
Wayne, 100% PNT, SMCS, hearing loss 100%. Other disabilities, heart,
Whoa.
mental health 70, OSA 50, headache 30, tinnitus 10, sinusitis 10. Do I qualify for higher SMC, and how do I do this?
You need to
says
file.
I don't qualify for ANA. So
How can you not qualify at 100% hearing? How can you not qualify for aid and attendance? Can you go on the phone and make all your appointments? Can you tell what people are saying to you over the phone? I mean, that's a big handicap when you can't communicate. If there's a fire in your house, do you know, can you get out of it? I mean, 100% hearing loss, I would think would qualify you for aid and attendance. And if it doesn't, pick mental health. I mean, with all those things you're telling me, and this is my men. Women are a little bit more honest about this. Men hate to say that they need any help at all, or they say, well, I don't have a trouble buttoning my shirt because now I use pull-ons. That's not the answer. You have trouble. That's why you have to use pull-ons. Think about all the things you get help with, things you need help with, things other people do for you. I mean, I can't believe you don't need aid and attendance. Can you remember to take your medications? Can you tell what the doctor's telling you about what you need to do to take care of yourself? Do you mix up your medications? Do you forget to go to the doctor? Do you forget to leave things on the stove? With your heart at 60%, do you get exhausted so you can't take a shower, have trouble cleaning or clothing yourself? Think about all these things. You do need aid and attendance. Is not someone's going to come in your home. They're going to pay you another $1,000 for you to get any help you need. Okay.
And it's not a daily thing. It's regular aid and attendance. I mean, it could be every week. It could be every 10 days.
Right. It doesn't have to be constantly that you need all these things. And remember, if you don't think you need it, ask the people you love, what do you help me with? What do you think I need help with? Because I put money on that.
She's better, though. She's a gambler. I would also say that you can still combo here. You could take the 100% hearing loss combo with the heart, or 100% hearing loss combo with the mental health, and say that these two together prevent me from doing whatever. You do that, you still have a half step for the heart, you still have a half step for the OSA. So that would still get you all the way up to M. So there's a path here that doesn't have to just be aid and attendance based on the hearing loss.
How about driving? I've gotten aid and attendance for hearing loss before. That's why I know that's a really devastating disability.
100% for hearing losses.
Very hard to get.
I've been doing this a long time, and I can count on my hands how many times I've seen that. That's pretty bad. Kent, when filing a 210996 for high level review, do you attach a 214138 to list your contentions? Yes, you can.
You can, yes.
Or you can put it right on the 0996. I mean, I like to put it on the 0996, one, to keep it brief, two, to know that they have the form. They told me they have the form. They're not going to lose it. Right.
If it's a separate form, they may not connect it with the appeal. And that's why we put ours all together in one.
Colette, do you have to submit a claim for bilateral factors? No.
Yep. They should automatically do that.
No. Victor, just got denied for chronic fatigue syndrome on an appeal that was remanded. I was approved 10% for tinnitus. I was never diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome or tinnitus, but I have the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndromes for years. What should I do?
Definitely go out and get a diagnosis, because remember, you have to have service connection possibility plus a current diagnosis. If you don't have the current diagnosis, you can't win.
Except if you served in the Gulf. Then you've got 38 CFR 3.117, which says that you can have an unknown, mulkey or whatever.
Unknown etiology, yeah. But I'm just saying, how often those people win? I mean, they should.
That's a hard case, but I mean, it's one worth fighting for. If you don't have a diagnosis,
right,
but you have the symptoms, you can objectively point to the symptoms, and you serve in the Gulf. They've recognized that there's something that you all went through that causes mysterious illnesses that are not diagnosed. That's the only place where you can get service connected without having a diagnosis.
But try to get a diagnosis. I mean, you're telling your doctor, what do they think you have if you don't have chronic fatigue syndrome?
Yeah, tell him what you're missing to give that diagnosis.
And I go to the VA doctor and say, I have this and this. Do I have chronic fatigue? If not, why not? Tell me why I don't have it.
Mickadoodle, hi, I'm SMCM for RA 60% of hands, 40 for TMJ, 20 for each knee, 30 for left foot. They rated me N.5. Is that right?
M for that.
So he's talking about 3 additional ratings. I don't see that.
No, I don't either.
20 for each knee. 30 for left foot, unless the left foot they're considering there's
30.
foot
Well,
drop.
he could get, okay, so he puts TMJ, 20 and 20 for each knee, and then he could put for each foot, that's 60, right?
Yeah, but he needs 3. He's got 3 half steps right there.
Okay, SMC M.
So he's got M for the loss of use of hands. That's why they're giving him M.
Okay.
But
yeah, he ought to get, that's only a half.
30 for the left foot. I'm curious if there's foot drop or they even considered that to be loss of use.
Right.
If that's in play, then I do see you getting up to N, and then these other ones would combine.
Right.
I mean, we're not telling you that's not right. We're just saying from this math, we would need more information.
Right. But definitely that foot loss could really, foot drop, remember that could give you that could give you what you need. Foot drop is when you can't pick up your foot when you walk, it sort of drags. And those are really high ratings. So if any of you have that, you should go to the VA, make sure that they diagnose it, and then get an AFO. That's a brace that keeps your foot straight so that it doesn't drag when you go to walk. And that's further proof that you have foot drop. But you have to claim that. They're not gonna look for it and say, oh, you have foot drop. It's just a higher level rating for your foot.
Sherman, do you need a lawyer for a Q claim? No. I will say Carol files a lot more than I do. It's rare that I file Q claims because they're not an everyday occurrence. I mean, there's some things the VA messes up, gunshot wounds from the 70s, knee ratings from the early 2000s. We've seen them mess that up a lot, but it's a tough claim. And so, it was one rater one time told me the Q claim is so bad that my grandmother can spot it. It's kind of obnoxious, but at the same time, it's like you're not going to win a lot of this.
But remember, do you have a Q claim or do you have an open claim?
That's what you want.
And that we have a lot of open claims that we win. And if you file for a Q claim, you put yourself in a hole. So you need to know, what are you really filing for? Is this a claim that never was decided? A claim where additional evidence was put in within a year? A claim where the service medical records weren't in? So those are open claims. They're not Q claims. And yes, no, you don't need a lawyer, but they're great claims.
Yeah. K9 USA, higher level resulted in duty to assist. Now I've seen PDRO stated the shoulder is now warranted for service connection in the 209999. However, in exam request to VES, the VA wrote exam for service connection. Higher level review resulted. Oh, wait. Okay, is that it, I guess?
That's the same.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there.
I'm not sure what the question is. Do you know?
So if you get a duty to assist error from the DRO, it goes back to the person who made the error. They send it out again. If the DRO said that you are service connected, it went back to that person. They say, well, give us another service connection opinion. That to me is another duty to assist error. That's duty to sabotage is what they just did to you. So I would, if they deny you again, I would take that back to the DRO and say they asked the examiner an inappropriate question because you already said I should have been granted service.
Right, and I see that too. They're clearly, the first one exam was not right. So they had no duty to assist. They send them out, and that says yes, you be service connected, and they send them to another one because they want evidence to deny you. They're not. That's against the law. They're not supposed to do that, and they do it all the time.
Junior Arus, my father has recently filed intent to file. What should he be doing in this process? I mean, he's got a year, but he needs to. The important thing to me is that when he files the 526 or the claim to, the supplemental claim, everything needs to be filed at the same time. So make sure you file all claims at the same time, because if you file one claim and then 2 days later file the rest, well, those rest, the effective date is the day they filed versus all the way back to the intent to file. That's the biggest thing. Otherwise, I'd be gathering whatever evidence you need, buddy statements, service records, medical records.
Right.
That's what I'd be doing. Carrie, what's the biggest challenge facing veterans who've developed Parkinson's disease?
Dealing with the disease.
Oof, yeah, it's so multifaceted. It's a horrible disease. And this is, oh, my Siri wanted to talk about Parkinson's. Sorry. It's just such a detrimental disease. This is definitely one where Carol's going to hammer home. You should probably be getting service. You should probably get an SMC for this because it can take away the use of hands.
Ultimately,
feet,
you're going to get R1
cognition.
And maybe R2.
Yeah,
and you should be setting out your claim for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, depending on when they come to me, I do that loss of use of feet, loss of use of hands, all of that right away. The VA is not going to approve those until they give you 100%, until they rate you for service connection for Parkinson's. But then the effective date is going to go back.
All the way back.
Yeah. So file for everything because it's a terrible
This
disease.
is one where I totally agree with Carol. I would 100% is the starting point.
Yeah.
You were not settling for that. All right, let's take 3 more. Lee and Spring, Vietnam vet. Can I file CKD, secondary to initial hypertension claim
Please
at the same
do.
time? Yeah. At the same time.
At the
Yes.
same time.
Ronald, how may you force VA to treat you when you are 100% disabled war veteran? How can you force VA to treat you? Huh? That's a little, I don't know.
If you're service connected, they have to treat you.
Yeah,
That's the key. You have to be service connected. And if you're not getting the treatment, I tell people, stop dealing with the clerk who's making the appointment or not making the appointment. Go up to the head of the health department.
go in. Yeah.
Go in and go to whoever's in charge of that entire medical facility and say, I want an appointment. And they'll say, why do you want an appointment? And you'll talk about, I'm not getting treatment. And 10 to 1, they're going to make sure you get treatment because the person's not going to want to talk to you,
Right.
and they don't want to complain. So you're much
Especially
more
from
likely.
100% disabled war.
Yeah, you're much more likely to get the treatment you need if you do that. Stop dealing with people who can't help you. They're going to tell you no, no, no. And if you go to the person up top, he's going to have to give you a reason why, and he doesn't have one.
All right, last one. Bob, do you take cases of denials? Yep.
Yeah.
That's basically the only case we do take. All right, folks, we appreciate you coming here today. Had some great SMC questions again. Love that. We had some good, just regular questions too. So thanks for being with us. It was a joy to get to be in person with Carol again. And we hope to see you next week. Thanks for our new time, Tuesdays.
Bye.
Bye.